And on Wednesday night, good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Less Levine, brought to you by McDonald's Restaurants of Northeast Ohio. Once a month, we try to get in the guys from waitingfornextyear.com. We only have to wait for next month to get them in. We got a newcomer who was had to bring the projector in and the game films and all the equipment, and that's Brendan Bowers. Thanks. You followed. You learned from these veterans to bring in the diet, the diet soft drink. Good job.
Yeah, absolutely. I studied the tape, and I feel like I'm ready to go.
And Craig Lindell is here. You've been here before, been there, done that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me back.
My pleasure. Have you checked the tapes from the last one to see where you need to improve, where you were okay?
Yeah, I drew it all up, and I've got a plan. We'll see how I execute.
Exhaustive study.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Scott Sargent, the guy who cooked up this name, Waiting for Next Year. Where'd you come up with a dumb name like that?
Just kind of fell into our laps, and it was one of those things we threw some darts, and here we are.
Do you have a standby plan just in case something strange happens in the next 5 months in Cleveland over at Progressive Field?
We've been asked that several times, but we'll always just kind of fall back on the other teams that still have to win. I think the longevity won't be too much of an issue.
Here on this show and others over the years, the standard question is who's going to win next? Like as if somebody's going to win it all. There's no guarantee here.
Winning is so few and far between these days. I think we can take a 2.5 game lead in the AL Central right now and just kind of ride it while we have it.
Right. Tom Withers of the Associated Press was here a week or two ago, and I thought he made a good statement about that. He said, if and when a Cleveland team wins, it's going to be one that comes out of nowhere and wins, as opposed to one that gets, like the Cavaliers, getting to the NBA Finals and then having what I thought was a team good enough to win and then finally get over the top. He says, no, it's going to come out of nowhere. I think he was talking about this year's Cleveland Indians. Do you see that at all?
Just think of the '07 Indians. They really did. Between Rafi Perez, Rafi Betancourt, you had Garco, Asdrubal Cabrera, and all these guys that just kind of seemingly came out of nowhere, and they all put it together at the same time. And I think that's exactly what would happen. If the Browns, by some chance, win in the next, say 5 years, I think you look at that now, it's going to be a surprise. I don't think we're going to have a gradual Browns team that's going to, win 10 games now, 11 games, 12 games, and then somehow get to the Super Bowl.
Or you got to get to the playoffs, get to one leg, and then move up, and maybe the next year. But teams change so quickly, that may not be the case anymore.
Well, that's why baseball, I think, dating back to our last time we were here, I think the Indians, have a really good chance of doing that, because baseball, you just need to get to the playoffs, ride 2 hot pitchers, some timely batting, put it together like the Giants did last year, and you have it.
When you guys look at the AL Central, who scares you out there?
I don't know. To that point, I think that there's not really anybody that scares the Indians right now. They're playing good baseball. If you look around the AL, they got the best record in the league right now. I know it's only 22 games in, but they look like they're ready to compete with anybody. And I think to the point that you referenced Tom making, I think there's something to that in that there's really no pressure. It's almost like house money. If you're in June, the Progressive Field is going to be alive with the fact that no one really thought the Tribe was going to be in the mix for a pennant in June. I think it becomes fun, and I think that could steamroll some positive momentum.
Yeah, you're rarely seeing crowds in double digits, 10,000 right now, but if they can hang in there, you expect these people will come out of the woodwork, won't they?
I would think so. I think Cleveland's been known to support a winner, and I think they will. This summer, especially with some nice weather down there, I could see June and July being fun.
Right. Same thing with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The baseball is the one where you can really jump up and surprise people out of nowhere, because you just need a couple of guys to make that jump. As long as you have that baseline in the lineup, and this Indians team seems to be able to hit. They've just been unhealthy and whatever else. If they have a couple of these pitchers that continue to play the way they have so far this season, and look like Masterson. Exactly, and that one still hurts me, because they had to trade Victor to get him.
You before the season you kept saying if Sizemore's healthy, if Hafner's healthy, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think Sizemore was going to play at all this year, to be honest with you, with that injury. Now you're seeing him dive for balls and slide and all that stuff. And Hafner looks like his swing is bad. These two guys, I know it's 22 games, but I don't know what else you could ask from these two guys.
No, absolutely not. And the scary thing was, coming out of spring training, it seemed like a real possibility that we weren't going to see Sizemore till closer to the All-Star break, or he's not.
And then you didn't know what he'd have.
Yeah, exactly. And he seems to have the power in the swing, and he doesn't seem to be tentative on the base paths or in the field.
Yeah, I mean, both guys turning on pitches that they haven't turned on in 2 years. So.
I mean, Hafner, look at his body language. I mean, you could tell he was frustrated over the last few years, and I had a chance to talk to him a couple Fridays ago when we were playing Baltimore in the Zach Britton game. And he said, you know, my shoulder feels perfectly fine, and I think it's really the first time that he hasn't had any, you know, you wake up the next day and you have some just tender soreness, but he actually feels he could play in back-to-back games and not be affected by it at all, and I think his confidence at the plate is showing.
Well, and you're also seeing teams in the past that would have shifted on him. It's a more moderate shift and maybe not even a shift at all.
How great is it when they do that and he still slaps it down the third baseline
Yeah.
or something and ends up getting a
Accidentally.
double out of it? Because
Yeah.
right, it's completely a cue shot,
Yeah.
but it still happens, and that's fun. And I think he can do that because he's not getting, to Craig's point, too tight at the plate and wanting to pull everything.
Right. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. The bullpen's still okay with everybody? Pastano was tremendous last night.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah,
Strength of the team?
I think so. Well, I don't know. I don't. Pastano being the strength
No,
of the
no,
team, or the bullpen
the
in
bullpen,
general.
yeah.
You know, Tony Sipp still makes me nervous. I think he can have it at times. Same with Rafi Perez. Either they're hot and cold.
Right.
Chris Perez really hasn't looked to be his dominant self lately, but I think as long as Manny Acta continues to pick the right guys in the right spots, I think they're going to be just fine.
You know, you bring up Sipp. When Paul Shuey was here, Shuey's right-hand, big, strong right-handed guy, and Sipp different left-handed and all. But they both have so many things had so many things going on in the motion, in the delivery, that almost everything had to be perfect to get the ball over the plate. And if, as you say, if they've got it, they've got it, and if they don't, they're in trouble.
Yeah, and I think that you saw that over this past weekend, you know, with Sipp getting blown up in that one game, even though they had done well to they had a decent cushion for him. And I know you mentioned Sipp, but I think Rafi's right there with him. I mean, if that slider's not finding that outside corner on those lefties, it's going to be really hard to get through a batter.
216-575-0403. We have a secret word, extremely important in baseball. Say that secret word, we'll send you to Sokolowski's University. And we have a question of the week, and it deals with Jim Tressel. So we'll ask our panel here: should Jim Tressel A, be fired, B, resign, or C, stay on? Brendan, what do you think?
Stay on for sure. I don't even think this is a question. I don't see how Ohio State could fire him, and I don't really see why he should resign. I mean, I think he stays on. I mean, there's obviously some issues that he's going to have to work through. He may be suspended for the whole year by the NCAA, but I think at the end of the day, I mean, come next year, Jim Tressel should be, and I think will be, the coach of Ohio State.
What if they say, not only that, but Ohio State can't go to the next 2 bowl games unless you fire him? What happens then?
I think Ohio State's in a tough spot because, I mean, without knowing, and this is pure speculation, I mean, I find it hard to believe that there was no conversation between, Jim Tressel and anybody at the administration. I'm not alleging anything or saying anything, but I just feel like, they're together in this. I feel like, the administration and Jim Tressel are together in this, and I think that they're going to see it through however it ends, if it is bowl games that they miss.
If you're right, though, and they find out that Gene Smith knew or Gordon Gee knew, that's even worse.
Yeah, and I think firing Tressel, maybe that brings something like that out, if that's the choice that they
Craig,
want
what do you
to
think? Fire him, have him resign, or keep him on?
At this point, he stays on, and it's premature until the NCAA comes up with
Because there was nothing new in the allegations
There's
from
nothing
Friday?
new there, and maybe it's something they ride out. Maybe it is something that they need to manage, as
Right.
you're saying.
Scott, what do you think?
Agreed. It's everything self-reported, nothing new.
Right.
It's a media firestorm, and it looks really, really bad. But he's going to.
But what if the NCAA really wants to make an example? And Ohio State has to save themselves.
And he has to fall on the sword? I mean, I don't know. I think that's a pretty slim chance.
216-575-0403 is the